The idea of divine justice can be a difficult one to grasp. It's tempting to think of God's love as all-encompassing, wiping away any need for justice. But imagine a world without consequences for wrongdoing. It would be chaotic, unfair, and ultimately loveless. Justice is not the opposite of love. It's a vital expression of it. True love cannot exist without justice. Think about it. If someone commits a terrible crime and faces no consequences, is that truly loving to the victim? Justice demands that wrongs be acknowledged and addressed. In the Christian understanding, sin is a serious offense against God. It's a rebellion against His good design for us, a choosing of our own way over His. And just like a good judge can't simply ignore a crime, God, in His perfect holiness, cannot overlook the offense of sin. This is where the concept of a substitute comes in. Because God is both perfectly just and perfectly loving, He desires to both uphold justice and extend mercy to us. The Bible tells us that God presented Christ as a sacrifice of atonement through the shedding of His blood, to be received by faith. He did this to demonstrate His righteousness because in His forbearance He had left the sins committed beforehand unpunished. He did it to demonstrate His righteousness at the present time, so as to be just and the one who justifies those who have faith in Jesus. Romans 3:25-26. This passage is crucial for understanding how God can be both just and the one who justifies us. It tells us that God didn't simply sweep our sin under the rug. Instead, He took the punishment we deserved upon Himself in the person of Jesus Christ. This act of substitutionary atonement is at the very heart of the Christian faith. Through Christ's sacrifice on the cross, God's justice was satisfied and a way was opened for us to be reconciled to Him. This doesn't mean that God's standards have changed. He still hates sin. But because of Jesus, He can now forgive those who trust in Him. Sometimes people try to portray Jesus simply as a great moral teacher. While it's true that Jesus taught profound truths and lived a perfect life, to reduce Him to a mere teacher is to miss the central point of Christianity. Jesus Himself said, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give His life as a ransom for many." Mark 10:45. He came not just to show us a better way to live, but to actually take our place, to pay the penalty for our sin that we could never pay ourselves. Imagine a courtroom scene where a guilty person stands before the judge. The judge, bound by the law, must pronounce a sentence. But then someone steps forward, someone completely innocent of the crime, and offers to take the punishment in the guilty person's place. That is what Jesus did for us. He lived the perfect life we could not live and died the death we deserved to die. And in doing so, He became the ultimate substitute, bridging the gap between a holy God and a sinful humanity. Now you might ask, if God is so loving, why doesn't He just force everyone into heaven? This is where the concept of free will comes in. God created us with the capacity to choose to love Him freely or to reject Him. He doesn't want robots or puppets. He desires a genuine relationship with us, one built on trust and love. Forcing someone into a relationship against their will is the opposite of love. True love respects the other person's freedom to choose. God, in His infinite wisdom and love, allows us to choose our own eternal destiny. He presents us with the invitation to spend eternity with Him, but He doesn't force us through the door. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a friend who consistently refuses to spend time with you. They make excuses, cancel plans, and generally avoid your company. You could try to force them to be your friend, but that wouldn't be a genuine friendship, would it? In the same way, God could force us to be with Him in heaven, but it wouldn't be a true reflection of our hearts. He desires us to choose Him freely and willingly. Of course, this is just an analogy, and no analogy perfectly captures the complexities of God's love and our free will. But it helps to illustrate the point that love cannot be coerced. It must be freely given. This brings us to the concept of hell. Many people have misconceptions about hell, picturing it as a fiery pit of eternal torture. While the Bible does use imagery of fire to describe hell, it's important to understand the deeper meaning behind this metaphor. The essence of hell is not physical torment, but rather separation from God. It's the natural consequence of choosing to live our lives apart from Him. Think about the times in your life when you felt furthest from God. Perhaps it was a period of deep grief, loss, or loneliness. Those experiences, while painful, can give us a glimpse of what it means to be separated from the source of all love hope, and life. Hell is not a place where God gleefully inflicts pain. It's the ultimate expression of his justice, a place where those who have rejected him experience the full weight of their choice, eternal separation from his presence. Some might argue that eternal punishment for sin seems excessive, but it's important to remember that the duration of the punishment reflects the infinite worth of the one we have offended. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do it? Or has he spoken, and will he not fulfill it? Moreover, the Bible teaches that God's judgment will be just and proportionate to what each person has done. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each of us may receive what is due us for the things done while in the body, whether good or bad. Ultimately, the choice is ours. God, in his great love, has provided a way for us to be reconciled to him through Jesus Christ. He offers us forgiveness, new life, and the promise of an eternity spent in his presence. But he also respects our freedom to reject his offer. And if we choose to go our own way, to live our lives apart from him, then we must also accept the consequences of that choice. Heaven and hell are not merely two different destinations. They represent two radically different ways of relating to God, one of joyful surrender and the other of defiant independence. The choice is ours, and the consequences are eternal.